what what are the things, the sort of top level things that um, agencies can do to make their clients' lives easier? And I went that direction because the ultimate goal, we talk about this all the time, for an agency partner with a client is growth. You have to show measurable growth.
And so we're talking about, everybody puts, all these agencies put reporting in as their communication. If the reporting is the basis of your communication, you're failing your clients big time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So here's what's happening. You're doing the things that you set forth to do, the activities, the tasks, the posts, the SEO, the SEM, all the stuff that you said you're going to do, you're doing it. And you're finding out at the end of the month, how did we do? And your account manager or your strategist is looking it over, and they're going to go meet with the client, report, how did we do? You're spending more time meeting with clients, telling them how you did, than you are actually figuring out what you could be doing better and improving and getting better and better. And that's what I want to hear as a client. I don't care about, I want to hear, look, our numbers were where they were, low, high, where they expected them to be.
Yep.
And it's never good enough for us. We are always in an improvement mode, and here's the things we've changed, and here's what we've done, and here's a couple of options. Help me make this decision. Like, what would you like to do? Yep. Let's have a real conversation.
Really big on me personally is I like regular reporting, and you can put it in a document, make that document easy for me to digest. I do not need a call for that. When the call comes, I'll feed it. Like, I'll have all my notes and say, like, I wanted to talk about page 3 here, and be like, blah, blah, blah. Or I'll send you an email and I'll be like, page 3.
What you promised me, is it on track? Is it off track? On or off what you promised me?
Yep.
I mean, let's not talk about it if it's on.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm paying you for it to be on.
Yep.
So it needs to stay. If something's not on and I need to be aware of something that can change that, okay, tell me what that is. Don't drown me in metrics, and then at the end of an hour call, tell me what's on and off. When they say, we're an extension, they love saying this, we're an extension of your team.
Yeah.
And I want to get out the shotgun real quick and be like, hey, don't you dare say that. Now I'm going to tell you to prove it. How? I reached a level of smart ass about 3 o'clock today, and it hasn't let up. So go ahead and fire away, Trice. Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Agency Growth Engine Show with Trice Alford and Ryan Parshall, sponsored by Healthy Brands Coaching. And I am excited to do several things today, Trice. One, I want to ask you about a new adventure. I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but you've got something new that you're doing. I saw a post on LinkedIn, so that's congratulations, and that's a big deal. And I want you to explain what that is, and then you actually are bringing the topic today, so I get to sit back and relax and poke holes in whatever you say. That's going to be a fun exchange.
I know, right? Let's shoot on the other foot today. Like, oh, you don't have to do anything to prepare for the show, and you can just wing it, and it's going to be fine. And I'm like, oh shit, I actually have to have notes and figure it out. Now,
right.
I mean, at the same time, I had some ideas, and I utilized ChatGPT to help me articulate them. So, I mean, did I work that hard?
No.
My brain said, "Hey, do some things," and then
as I've already told you, I get to go after a couple of points that I've seen that GTP write. Like I've seen them write this, and I'm like, okay, I see some points in there I want to really to tear down. So I'm not after you. Apparently, I'm going after AI.
Absolutely.
But
and if anybody knows us, they know we don't hold back on each other. So we're pretty open about all this. Like, we know that this isn't the only way to do this, and we are open to talking to other people about ideas and how they would, grow agency businesses and all the things. So these are just, two schmoes talking about it. talking about the real stuff. So,
Well,
yeah.
let's start with this. So what's new? What's new? Tell me.
Yeah. So, if anybody out there looks at my LinkedIn, you know already that I have my hands in a whole bunch of stuff, and I'm always busy. And so I took on a new role, not really like in the sense of like a traditional like paid job, because I have one of those, but um, more as like a volunteer and chapter leader in Kansas City for a new collaborative called the CMO Collaborative. And essentially, it's a group of CMOs who have the opportunity to get together. There's a network of CMOs across the country. We work together. We talk about topics that are hot. We have local conversations and a peer group, basically. And then also, some events and stuff like that, a lot of online collaboration and things as well too. So I've been involved with a group like this previously, but this is new and I'm super excited about it. There's a lot of really strong CMOs in this group. I would consider myself to be like a small business CMO or a medium-sized business CMO. And there's some really big brand CMOs in this group. So it's nice because you get to hear from people that are like, don't have the same sort of perspective of the world that you do, and hear that they're going through and dealing with the same kinds of stuff that you are. It's just a different kind of scale. And how they work with partners, right? Like just exactly like we talk about this all the time. They're looking for agency partners, or they've got agency partners of different types, and how those groups interact together as well.
Yeah, and that I ran a CMO group on LinkedIn for a long time, and so there's some things I've really learned about CMOs when you try to group them together. It seems like there is a handful of CMOs that think that networking and peer interaction is important, and the majority out there seem to think that it's not. And I'm just throwing it out there because I think that's ridiculous. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that you think you reached the top of your game, because if you thought that last year, and then AI kicking in, and then and then all of a sudden you think you know everything and you have nothing to learn, you have to relearn your entire career right now. And so get it together. If you're in the Kansas City area, and probably a little bit, how far out does it go?
It'll probably, like St. Louis has a group and Denver has a group, but I think we'll be very regional because Kansas City just doesn't have maybe the same footprint from a CMO perspective that some other cities have. So, in the past, I've worked with a guy who's in Manhattan, Kansas. So I would bet that we're open to Manhattan and Lawrence and Omaha and Wichita and Pittsburgh and like Sedalia, Mo. Like there's just a ton of people that are within an hour that could benefit from this kind of dialogue and very, honestly, only a small portion is face to face. So it's like any
if somebody's interested, they're marketing leader in the Kansas City market or in these other markets that they might check this out. Again, what is the name of it, and where can they join or sign up?
Yeah, it's called the CMO Collaborative, and they can ping me if they want to on LinkedIn, or go to cmocollaborative.com, I'm pretty sure, and find them there. But either way, there's or search on LinkedIn. Frankly, almost every single member that I've corresponded with in some way is a very active LinkedIn user. So, which you and I both are. So we kind of live and breathe that, and so that, and then that's how I kind of reached out and connected with that group. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited to see how that goes, and I know it's a proven model that's worked in other cities, and Kansas City needs that right now with this.
Yeah, and I'll say this.
So
yeah, and I'll say this about you're right about CMOs and peer groups, right? I think CMOs. I don't think it's that they think they're at the top of their game. I think it's that they are very busy and they're making choices about their time. And I think that peer-to-peer opportunities to grow are really beneficial. They've helped me tremendously sort of see the bigger picture a little bit better, which kind of segues into our conversation anyway. So I don't, if anybody's thinking about like your LinkedIn group or other things like that, I say participate. You only get as much out of it as you put into it. So
true,
like anything else. So I put in a lot to it. and I want to continue to do that with this group. So, because I think for me, it's the personal relationships. I've met a handful of CMOs, and a couple of them I really, really respect a lot, and feel very lucky, frankly, to.
I respect most CMOs. They didn't get there by accident. So I respect.
100%. Anyway.
So, well, let's roll into our topic today. So I'll do just a quick warning. I reached a level of smart ass about 3:00 today, and it hasn't let up. So go ahead and fire away, Trice.
Yeah.
What do you got? What's our topic?
I'll vouch for that. So my topic really is about, I started thinking about this. I saw a post on LinkedIn today, actually. So this is all very fresh, about what can agencies be doing, or really it was more like agencies should be trying to make their clients' lives easier and not more complicated. And then the post went on to say all these things about what agencies do to make the lives of their clients more complicated. And I kind of flipped it and I said, what are the things, the sort of top level things that agencies can do to make their clients' lives easier? And I went that direction because, the ultimate goal, we talk about this all the time, for an agency partner with a client is growth. You have to show measurable growth. But to do that, you've got to be able to, one of the, basic things would be, in doing that, is also make the lives of your client as easy as possible. Frankly, if you could do that, you're probably on the right track for growth. So these are really high level, nice summaries of things an agency can be doing to make their lives easier of their clients. Number one, and I do not like this order, but I'm going to stick with it. Okay. This order is, number one is streamlined communication. So being really clear, very regular, very concise. I think, I think this
communication with who, Trice? Communication with customers or the client. Okay.
Yeah, with the client. I think that's valuable. Obviously, it's a really, really basic idea. No agency is going to say they want to be bad at communicating with their clients in order to grow their businesses.
But they all think they're good at it. So that's
all do think they're good at it.
That is.
Yes, I agree with you. Yeah. And I don't know, it's a good question, right? Like, there's probably no real measurable in that one. Like, there's no way to say I'm good.
It's all perception.
Right. Other than, hey, maybe you try to figure out what your client wants.
Yeah.
While you're setting that process up. Well, your project management process is like, what's my interval going to be with the client? Monthly, weekly, whatever. So
yes. Yeah. What's my pulse? I always call them pulses. Like, what's the pulse going to be? And it's interesting when I have my agency, the pulse is different by client. So we may set up our services to where we count on when we onboard a customer that it could be the maximum. Here's what the maximum is, or what the expectations are. Yeah. And then we had clients that backed down off that great deal and said, really, can we just do once a month? Can we talk once a month or every other week? Like, we don't have to talk 3 or 4 times a day. Big mistake I see agencies make a lot of times. I'll go in and too many in-person visits, believe it or not. Wow. You think it'd be the opposite. I've seen a lot of that lately. It's like, they don't want to see you and talk about metrics that much. Like, maybe you have a client that's just one-off or something that's like that, but they don't want to see that much. And like, just figure out what that balance is. It can be different by client and adjust. I prefer adjusting. If you're one of these agencies that says we're going to do the same with every client, okay, but that's not realistic or very human, because everybody, guess what? Everybody's different.
Everybody's special.
Everybody's.
I agree with you. Like, and also, we're not just talking about meetings. Like, you were talking about in person. I'm shocked to hear somebody say they see their agency partner too much. That's very rare. But I think in person, Zoom related calls and just reporting. Like, I'm really big on, me personally, is I like regular reporting, and you can put it in a document. Make that document easy for me to digest. I do not need a call for that. When the call comes, I'll feed it. Like, I'll have all my notes and say, like, I wanted to let's talk about page 3 here, and be like, blah, blah, blah. Or I'll send you an email and I'll be like, page 3, What the fuck are you talking about here?
Okay,
Like,
you're right. I'm going to get real with this one. Here we go.
yeah.
It hit me big time this last week with something that came up where the client's communication is it's a weekly meeting, and they are going over the metrics and the numbers.
Mm.
And in person and Zoom meetings, either one is combination of.
Mhm.
And I had to, here's a
Yes.
secret. Here's a secret.
We don't want to talk
They
about that
don't,
weird shit.
they don't want it.
We don't.
I'm
We
gonna
don't.
go generic again. There's a one-off client, so this isn't black and white. There's a
Sure.
one-off client that they love the charts, they love the technical, and they'll get into it.
Mhm.
The rest of them, email them the damn report. But when you're having your meetings, unless there's something that's broke,
Yeah.
don't go over the freaking numbers.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about it. And it's not because you're hiding anything, it's because you gave them a report. If they care about it, they'll read it.
Yeah. I
You
think
use that time for other things that are more important. And well, I'm sure we'll go over that in this, but I'm going to say this and be done, and I'm going to give you a break and give me a break, let you talk. It's this. Look, is what you promised me? This is the client as talking to the agency. If what you promised me, is it on track? Is it off track? On or off what you promised me?
Yep.
I mean, let's not talk about it if it's on.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. I'm paying you for it to be on.
Yep.
So it needs to stay. If something's not on and I need to be aware of something that can change that, okay, tell me what that is. Don't drown me in metrics, and then at the end of an hour call, tell me what's on and off. Don't do that. Like, yeah. Anyway, there it is.
You're exactly right. I have had an agency partner that is a really great communicator, high level everything, but then there's no backbone. There's no reporting. There's no metrics. There's no summary, or there's no document at the end that's like answers all the things maybe I want to chase.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've had other agencies that are like, you're exactly your point. There's a ton of data. They give it to me ahead of time, and they still want to talk about it in the meeting. And I'm like, and not high level. They want to go over line by line. God, no, I don't need that. I don't need that. So yes, I feel the cadence. Figure it out. That's part of this, because it's got to be streamlined. That's the whole point. Streamlined communications. What does streamlined mean to your client?
Let me. I'm gonna continue my rant. You ready?
Rant. Go get it.
So here's what bothers me with that whole reporting thing. And so we're talking about, everybody puts, all these agencies put reporting in as their communication. If the reporting is the basis of your communication, you're failing your clients big time. Yeah. So here's what's happening. You're doing the things that you set forth to do, the activities, the tasks, the posts, the SEO, the SEM, all the stuff that you said you're going to do, you're doing it. And you're finding out at the end of the month, how did we do? And your account manager or your strategist is looking it over, and they're going to go meet with the client, report, how did we do? You're spending more time meeting with clients, telling them how you did, than you are actually figuring out what you could be doing better and improving and getting better and better. And that's what I want to hear as a client. I don't care about, I want to hear, look, our numbers were where they were, low, high, where they expected them to be.
Yep.
And it's never good enough for us. We are always in improvement mode. And here's the things we've changed, and here's what we've done. And here's a couple of options. Help me make this decision. Like, what would you like to do? Yep. Let's have a real conversation. And I'm gonna one step further with this is, agencies, hear this. Stop having conversations that are what agencies talk to clients about. Start having conversations, going to how we opened up, of how CMOs would have conversations with their clients and with the owners of those businesses and the leadership teams. Start having conversations like you were internally in that business. Do not report to them like you're a vendor.
Yes. I love that. It really segues well into these next two. So you're right on track. But I will say this from my experience, we talked about how agencies get fired and the cycle of agencies and the timeline. I personally have seen it in a 7 or 8 year period, hire and fire 3 agencies in that time too. So And the vast majority of it is because they all have a great relationship with me as the CMO. I'm their point of contact. I'm their client. But guess what? I'm not the only decision maker. And so they don't have a good relationship with anyone else. They don't even try. And they rely on being great at what they do to own the relationship, right? Well, that's good, but it only lasts so long. At some point, some leader in the company is going to say, our competitors are doing a really, really good job. I don't know if I don't wonder if our agency partner is really that good. Maybe we should be looking around. Every one of the times we fired somebody, that's exactly the conversation that came to me. And high enough person in the company that when they said that, people listened.
Yep.
And it moved the needle every single time. And as soon as I saw it happen, I knew the clock was on that agency. They had 12 months. And almost
at best.
time it was, yeah. It always took like a year and a half.
It's like 1 to 3 months is what they left.
Yeah, they took ours was so big it was kind of hard to slow down, but
okay,
they were a year and a half in, and that's when it started to happen. And it took a year for him to really be like, all right, we're hiring these people, and we would. So it was very regular, to be honest. I'm sure they've done it again since I've left. So,
so we're second point, or we're doing on
second point. Yeah.
Second point? What's the second?
Related? Yeah, the second point related to what you just said. You're talking about talking from the client's perspective. You're talking about thinking the way they think, talking about the way they would talk to their client, which is an internal person. It's a deep understanding of a client's businesses and their business and their goals. If you don't really have a relationship with them, and we're not talking about discovery, right? Discovery is great, but it doesn't give you a real understanding of their industry, of their business.
What happened? Yeah, what happened to your client's business this last week?
Yeah.
Do you know? Do you know what the big things were that happened this last week? Do you know? Here's another one. Do you know what the big projects are going on this quarter or this month for that company?
Right.
Do you know what their goals are for that right now? Do you know what their goals are?
Yeah. Are you aligned with their rocks for the next quarter?
Exactly. And the answer most of the time when I ask an agency, when they say we're an extension, they love saying this, we're an extension of your team.
Yeah.
And I want to get out the shotgun real quick and be like, hey, don't you dare say that. Now I'm going to tell you to prove it. How?
Yeah. I love that, because you're like, you talk to us once a month. How do you can really justify saying you're an extension of my team? I talk to my team every day, multiple times a day. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm following up on stuff. We're having real-time conversations. We're moving and shifting. Like,
Trice, what do agencies do that make that happen? What are the things they do that bring it home?
Well, I think the relationship's got to be with more than just the most senior person, right? Like small agencies, right? You're 15 people, you're 25 people. Most likely, like we've said this on this show before, why is that client buying you? Why are they choosing you? Because the senior most person there and that person built rapport. And they're like, I'm not buying an agency, I'm buying you. And you have a tiny army of people. And I'm not going to have the same kind of relationship with all of them that I have with you. So I think that is part of it. And then the second is just like to this thing, to your point, talk my language, understand my landscape, understand my industry, my business, my goals.
Yeah.
Then you are relating to me, not, to your point, not a vendor to a client. You're like, you really are an extension of my team. And maybe you have a better understanding of what all the other things my team are doing, so that you are understanding what your lane is in comparison to all these other things.
Yeah. I've got some things. I've got some things that I've seen that I really like in this area of becoming truly an extension of your team.
Yeah.
But there's things that if you have, and I'll just run through a few things here.
Yeah.
If you still have a physical location and you have like local clients and you have a good conference room, get a good conference room, right? With good Wi-Fi and a good Bluetooth for your TV. Because you can turn that into something that does client retention and client acquisition. And what we did was we said, hey, for our clients that are on monthly retainers, you can book our conference room for your leadership meetings. If you want to get out of the office, call it retreat, quarterly planning, whatever it is. We had big old whiteboards for them to do whatever they wanted to do.
Yep.
And we could do whatever we needed to in that space to make it right for them. They had a kitchen access to bring in food if they wanted to. We made it fun for them, and then their people got to know our people.
Yes.
And that was good.
Yep.
Do leadership. The second one would be do leadership workshops, either in your place or theirs. Do leadership workshops. There's all kinds of things you can do. You can look on healthybrands.biz. Look on my workshops tab. There are a lot of workshops that I can be called in to do, and you can do the same with your clients. So mission, vision, core values. There's all kinds of great stuff that ties into marketing that you can do here. Content brainstorming. I mean, there's a lot of fun, exciting things you can do to integrate your team and their team. Join Slack together. Be a part of be a division of their business, right? There are all kinds of ways. My favorite is if they're an EOS company and they do rocks and they're in like 90 or there's a couple others that handle EOS. Or maybe you do it on a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Have your marketing attend their rocks workshops or get the results of them afterwards immediately.
Yeah.
So that you always know, hey, I can help with that piece of it. Like that's something I can help you get that rock, that milestone, or I can get that rock done by the end of the quarter for you. Like, sure, just let me know. Let's plan it. Let's work together.
Yeah. I love your first point because it's funny you say it. So my company's board meeting is hosted at, shockingly, our law firm, right? We have a conference room, but we haven't fully built out our construction space, and not everybody is in the same office as of yet. So we're working toward that. But so we've been hosting it, at the law firm. Who's got a better fucking conference room than lawyers? I mean, these guys, audio, microphones right here, so it can get recorded. I mean, they got it all. They really do. Second, I'm on a board, and who is our board meeting hosted by? Our accountants, right? Like these people know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They can be on site. They can answer questions during their part of the meeting. They can host it. They facilitate. It's a gesture of goodwill. They're charging you up the yin yang for all the other stuff they do for you.
Yeah, you pay for it one way or the other, right?
You're paying for it already. So especially with the lawyers, and so I'm just saying, to your point, like, one, getting off-site, it's neutral territory. Everybody gets on the same page, right? Two, it's just nice to get away, be open, talk to everybody. So, and frankly, marketing agencies, if you have an office, typically your office is cooler than everybody else's. Right? Bring people in, show that shit off. It makes them feel good about themselves knowing they're working with somebody who's cooler than they are.
And if you want a long-term customer, have their people bump into your people when they're going into the kitchen to get food, and when they're, when they're hanging outside in fresh air, like have your people run into their people. And, I think it's funny when one of my clients said, hey, I talked to your web developer. We had a great conversation. And he was the guy who would be the least like extroverted to jump out and have a conversation. And I'm like, you did. And he was a great guy. Once you got to know him, he's a great guy, but he's kind of quiet. And I'm like, that's fantastic. And the next thing I know, that client's calling my developer directly to get a change done here or there. And it was no big deal. I mean, I was about it and like, okay, wait, call the coordinator so they can put it in the system and so we can make sure it gets done. It's like, but I love those scenarios when people know people, that's harder for them to leave. And that's true.
100%.
What's number 3?
Last one. This is a great one. And I wanted to move this one to number 1, but I left it where it was. Number 3 is provide strategic insights and proactive suggestions. So you and I have talked about this a million times. One of the traps that agencies fall into is they have a retainer to do a thing, and they just do the thing, and they keep doing the thing. And they'll have strategic conversations in the meetings they'll give viewpoints, whatever. But there's not a lot of proactiveness when it comes to this kind of situation. And now, in all fairness, I'm very unlikely to react to someone from the agency pitching me on an idea in our regular meeting. So I understand. I'm saying this all with a grain of salt because I know myself. I'd be like, I'm not really sure that that's as much of a priority as you believe it is, but I'll listen, and but I think as agency partners, your whole job is to be obviously thought leaders, right? So we
Right.
talk about that a million times, and this is how you do it, right? You have a great relationship with them, you understand their business, and you actively give them proactive ideas and solutions to help them get better in their own marketing.
That last part, you actively give it to them. That's where I would say if your agency sets up a plan at the beginning of the year and all they're doing is executing that plan throughout the year, it's not good enough. So my favorite thing is calling them up when you have an idea, and you better damn well have ideas, and say, man, I got to talk to you. I got an idea I want to run by you. Like when you say I have an idea, you're bringing something to the table. And if you're not bringing new things to the table throughout the year, you're failing your client. You're dead at the wheel. You're asleep at the wheel, dead at the wheel. You're just sailing off, and you're opening up that opportunity for that business and that client to get stolen by another agency. And so you have to, even if you have a plan, it's okay if you have a better idea than what you're currently doing. You should continually, as you learn and get closer with your client, you should have better ideas, and you should be bringing them to the table and replacing existing things with new and better things. And if you're not doing that and you are on autopilot with your clients, you're just one of those churn and burn agencies. You're not really doing justice for your clients.
Yeah, I agree with this. I mean, I and a little goes a long way. I get it. You don't want to commit a bunch of resources every single month to new ideas. That's fine.
Right.
But I think there's an opportunity here for you to strengthen your relationship by showing you really understand their business, and as their business changes and their competitive landscape changes, their marketing probably needs to shift as well. And if you recognize that, what a great way to align yourself and to show you're listening, you're aligned, and you're here to support that, that person, not just the CMO and not just the company, but a very specific tactical thing. You're like, hey, look, we know you're doing this thing. We think we can help you, and this is how. The worst thing that happens is I tell you, no.
You talk about CMOs. Let's switch this real quick. Let's say the agency owner is now the CMO in the company. They're essentially the team. If you hired a CMO, they came in at the beginning of the year and they came up with the budget and the plan, and then they left. The CMO left the planning meeting, and they put it into production, and the team, the marketing team, started doing things, and you only saw that CMO once a month, and all that person was doing was executing the marketing that you had put in place, and there's nothing new. He's not contributing to leadership or to new ideas throughout the year. He's showing up. He's just there staring at the wall. He's useless.
Mm-hmm.
If your agency is operating like that, that CMO is getting fired.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
The honest truth is you're both getting fired.
I was conservative in that description, right? You've been a CMO, you know that. Like if an agency doesn't start acting more like a CMO, I saw an article by John Jantz on this a little bit ago on LinkedIn, where he was talking about the new agency acts more like a CMO, which I agree with that 100%. And
great mentality.
Yeah, and so flip it. If the agency is the CMO, how are they doing? Would they get fired?
Yeah, absolutely would. I mean, if you think about it, right? Like, there are probably very few, very, very, very few CMOs in the world who do not talk to the CEO once a week, right? At bare minimum, they're like, hey, I just want to give you an update. Here's the things, whether that's an email or face-to-face, right? Either way. So why in the world would the leader of the agency be any different, right? You got to, I mean, and I'm just talking about, that's really basic shit. I mean, I talked to, like, you know, the CEO of my company is literally in the office next door. We traveled all week last week together. We talked about everything.
Well, but we started about communication though. Remember we talked about like over communicating and how clients don't want.
Sure.
It's that mix. It's back to that balance. What is that balance of that group? Is it a chat? Is it an email and then a meeting? Like, what is that pulse and balance where you don't want to exhaust your CEO with marketing? You don't want to exhaust your client with marketing, but there is the right touch, and the right touch has nothing to do with these damn reports. Okay. These damn reports have become the go-to for client communication. That's not client communication. That's reporting. And so, I just wanted to paint that quick picture of how an agency should be like maybe thinking about their interaction with that agency, and flip that narrative and then flip it back and find that middle ground of satisfaction. And you will love it and they will love it too.
Yeah. I think, you know, you and I've talked about this before too, like reoccurring revenue, right? Retainers, specific types of work. It's especially it's super common in agency life. We all know that. It's very, very common in digital, especially because it's an easy executable. It's easy box to sort of frame the work. And the downside of it, while it's a great revenue stream and it's a fantastic for your M&A experience, obviously, it's really a trap when it comes to your client, because it's a recipe for, I'm going to talk to the client once a month, and I'm going to hand this off to the team, and these 4 people are going to talk to the client once a month, and me, the person that sold this business, isn't going to see this client again for maybe 6 months or a year. So that is a trap. You think you're cruising because you got another client in the reoccurring revenue column, and you're like, I just cranked out, you know, a $2,500 a month retainer. Good for you. But I'll tell you right now, it's a trap. And you're just to your point, it's not reporting. Client doesn't give a shit about that. I mean, they do, they'll look at it, but for the most part, they care about the translation. What's that reporting mean to them?
And you're right on
to you.
This recurring revenue thing, the mean a trap, like it feels good for the first month.
It feels real good.
It's not quite as exciting. The third month, it's definitely not as exciting. And everything past that drops off in feeling like that money is is valuable, unless you are killing it in lead gen. The rest of it just doesn't feel quite as good past the initial excitement of, we've got an agency and we're paying them to do all this great stuff, and then later they don't care because we're just sending checks out the door. So
it's funny you say that, because it's also a trap, because you're the agency and you're 6 months in and you do the thing, or you built the thing, or you whatever, and all of a sudden the client finds something that's a mistake, and the client immediately is like, what the hell am I paying these guys a monthly retainer to handle this when they can't get it right?
I've heard that
the website's the worst, right? All the things that could go wrong in the website: bad links, bad text, spelling errors, the wrong kind of picture, you know, where the client knows their business better than you do. You're trying to make up for a lot of stuff with speed, right? You have expertise in web development, you don't have expertise in their business. And so it's a bad curveball. And I literally watch it happen all the time. So be mindful of that, because you get in there, and if you're not really paying attention, and you're not delivering the reporting as an outcome, telling them, giving them a translation of what did it do for their business, what did it do for them. If you're not doing that, then you're missing an opportunity to strengthen your relationship. And when the curveball comes, it's gonna be a strike.
Yeah. We always when we sent the monthly reporting, we always put like, here's 3 key points. Here's our thoughts of what this says to us.
Yeah.
It wasn't overwhelming. It was It was real simplified so that you can read the email and go, okay, yeah, scrap it. I'm not going to look at the report. If you are so concerned about something that you need to dive in the report, do it. And then we will always offer,
Yep.
if you want to jump on the phone and go over this, my experts are there to do it.
Yep.
But we're not scheduling a meeting to go over frickin' reporting. We're not doing it. Like, let's schedule a meeting to go over how things are going at your company. How's lead gen? How's things going? Are you satisfied with things that we're doing and what we promised? And really spend time on customer satisfaction and caring and growing that relationship stronger, where you are saying, I truly want to keep getting closer as an extension of your team, part of your team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. And I think, we talk a lot in these episodes, and we've got a lot, and we throw a lot of stuff around. And I think what people need to understand is our way of helping is we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. We're going to talk about the elephant in the room. We're going to kick stuff around. What we're really just trying to do is we're not preaching gospel here, right? We're just, hopefully something strikes a chord with you and it helps you think about how you can make the agency better, something your team maybe needs to improve on, something you might need to look at because you're the leader, whatever, right? What's the gap? Where can you go to help fill that gap for your team to get better? So all this, that's what it's about for us.
That's a great wrap up. I'll just finish with that. That's great. And I'm going to ask, if you're listening, to please subscribe to our channel, to the YouTube channel. If you're listening on the podcast, go there. We have the Face for Radio thing. So, but go check, subscribe on YouTube, listen to our podcast. You can get us on iTunes, Spotify, and you can listen to us there. But please subscribe so you get all the episodes. I would actually ask, go look at all the past episodes and pick a topic that you're interested in. You're not going to be interested in every episode we do. We're not that fascinating. But you might find a topic that is, and you'll hear us deep dive on it. So please check that out. And then if you have an idea for a future episode, let us know, and we'd be happy to take it on. All right, Trice, any last words?
Nope. Good luck, everybody.
All right. See you next time.